Okay.
April. Is it difficult to hear things about John and Lauren that you did not know?
I think I knew most of everything
You did, yeah.
before.
Later, Gator.
Do an intruder alert.
Sorry, I was disciplined.
That was authoritative.
Militant.
No, I don't think it's difficult because I had heard everything before. Some things definitely are hard because I don't ever want John to be painted in a negative light because I know how he is in our relationship and he's such a good man that some of the things that have happened in his past aren't so good. So it worries me that people will develop their conclusion of him based on those things.
Right. That's understandable. What does, because this is your second husband, what does your first husband think about all this? Is he married?
He is married. When I talked to him about it in the beginning, I think he was very much against it because maybe he remembered.
Doesn't paint him in such a good
It
light.
doesn't paint him in such a good light.
Right.
But what I tried to explain to him is, just like with our relationship, I wanted people to see how he was and where he has come from that person.
Yes.
So I don't, now he doesn't have a problem with it. He knows, I think he trusts in me that I'm not going to do anything that's going to embarrass our children or paint him in a horrible light. I have respect.
Love to talk.
Yes.
I always have something to say.
Well, clearly.
This is what I will say
I know.
about Jerry in April. We are all now a little bit older.
Not much.
And so
26, remember?
when you and Jerry were, separating, getting divorced, all that stuff, we were all in our very early 20s.
Yes.
Less experienced, less mature.
Less intelligent.
Yes. And so I would say that now as we're older, we're able to kind of process and deal with things with some maturity and some experience, whereas during that time frame, it was probably a little bit more difficult. But I would say that he, no matter what, I think even through some of the rough times, because I was there for the end of it. Yeah. I would say that, he always loved his kids.
Absolutely.
And that even when we were younger and we were all in our mid-20s, younger 20s, he was still able to separate what we are saying now is separate our, grievances with each other away from what's best for the kids.
And
it was rough.
It was very rough, but I mentioned this in our podcast. Roy was probably the forging force in my ability
We talked about that.
to get to a positive place with Jerry because it was
It was.
there was a lot.
Yeah.
It was, a lot more than even what I told in the blog or podcast.
You were the voice of reason.
He was.
at that time.
He really was.
Your just personality though is just very sound.
But like I said, even then, that was one thing that, if I could take something from Jerry that I learned during that time frame to carry it on to when, me and you decided to split, was that, you might be able to get under my skin, get me mad, but at the end of the day,
Pretty good at that.
the kids are so much more important. We can have our time later.
Yeah.
The kids are more important. And even though I might want to or think about, same with you, I'm going to stick it to this person. It was more important to
That's all
do the right thing.
emotional.
Yeah, it was more important to do the right thing by the kids, less the right thing that we thought was by us. Because as we get older now,
I look back on all that time and I think, why?
absolutely
None of that mattered.
waste of energy.
It was such a waste of energy
Absolutely.
and a thief of joy and a stealer of happiness. It truly was.
Yep.
And I would give anything to go back to that and tell myself, knock it off.
But I think
Stop.
if it wasn't for that experience,
I wouldn't have been able to help.
we wouldn't be
in
able to
this-
sit here today and do
Sure.
this because
I've
we
gone to
would.
him over the years
Mm-hmm.
for like, how are you remaining so calm?
Yeah,
How are,
absolutely.
I've literally vented to him. I don't understand how it's going so well for you guys, and this is happening on my end, and I did not get it. And I would lean on him for just advice, and he's good about calming the situation down. You know, I didn't always listen, and I'm sure
Which
John
is
didn't
so
listen
weird
either.
because Roy's so fiery.
He is.
Oh, I'm an explosion.
He's like-
I'm a hot mess.
But when
It's
somebody else needs
Yes.
to be diffused, he's like,
He's
I'm there.
Like,
Yeah,
hold
but
on,
there's
I've
only
got
like
this.
there's only like a certain few people in this world that have the ability to like somehow
Diffuse situation.
diffuse me from.
Even now, like I get on the soccer field, if somebody, Roy and I are probably the same human in that aspect. If somebody does something to our child on a soccer field, we're like, we see red. And I will, if I see him seeing red first, I will go down to try to calm him, and he's like, don't calm me down. But then at the same time, when I see red, he's like, April. I'm like, don't calm me down.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's weird how all
You
of us
balance.
can
Yeah.
balance each other out, even though, you know, we're not even in relationships.
I don't think
I
John's
think that's
ever
why-
calmed me down.
Well, no, I think that's why. It
John
works,
doesn't
right?
get up.
There's a
very
first time
No.
fired up about things.
No,
though.
John's-
He's such a
John's
calm.
John's
like, this
almost
is
like
him. Cool as a
John.
cucumber.
John is almost like a if I would describe him, almost like a cornerstone of a building in a way. Like everybody knows exactly how he thinks, how he's going to react, how he does.
Yeah, that can be terrible.
You know what I'm saying? No, it's good because it's like a center of gravity in a way. You know what I'm saying, for like the whole like dynamic. Like
I don't think he falters from his true self. Like he
no,
pretty
he
much
he is stable. He's
He's him.
steadfast in exactly what he thinks, what he believes, how he feels.
Very black and white.
You know, he has you to be his good filter, as we would call it, on the Snap Crazy or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I like how he says it so much better.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's we all have our little piece to this.
We
Little
do. We do.
party that we.
It would be boring if we were all exactly the same.
life would.
We
the world
wouldn't
would.
achieve anything.
And that's
else.
coming from somebody that thinks everybody needs to think how I think and do things the way I do. And they don't, because that would be boring. People bring different things to the table, and I think that that's what helps make our relationship
Makes it
as unique
fun,
as it
yeah,
is.
absolutely.
And fun.
Yeah, we got off topic. Sorry.